How better go, how better go there, how better go there, how better go where, how better go here, how better now, how better go.
Create wealth. Welcome back. Today's episode is all about the subject of creating wealth. Now, I'm going to do that and show you how, in a non-traditional world of real estate that I've been involved in, that's little known, but it's highly lucrative, and it's available for anybody that wants to learn it. So if you want to learn how to make wealth, I'm going to tell you how, and I'm going to tell you you're in the right place right now. And for some people, this is really going to be the American dream. I'm Ted Thomas, and for more than 30 years, I've been involved in teaching others how to create wealth in real estate that's in a niche that's very little known. This little known market is quite lucrative, as you're about to see. You're about to discover thousands of real estate properties that could be for sale by owner with generous profits. You can purchase these properties for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar. You just need to take the time to learn how to do it. So today's episode is answering a question, creating wealth. So simultaneously, I'll answer another question, and that is how to sell a house without a realtor. So nationwide, there's 3,000 local counties where the treasurer and the tax collector in each of those local counties is auctioning off tax defaulted property. Now, what's that all about? These are traditional real estate homes where they're vacant residential lots, or they could be small apartments, or they could be small office building, even small farms. But they're all defaulted on the property taxes. All right, so these properties are advertised for auction in the newspaper and on the county websites. And their starting bid is the delinquent back taxes. Now, all 3,000 plus local counties are authorized to auction at a public auction to recover defaulted taxes. And they do that by confiscating the properties and then reselling them at auction.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get her going here. Start me off. Where to bid to go? How better $1,000, open it up.
So there's over 5,000 auctions of these properties, and they're promoted by the local county government. So this episode is all about how to create wealth, which you're about to see. So why do we do this? Well, what attracts investors is, well, the same thing that attracts everyone else. They want to make money. So I come from a practical world. And if you're buying real estate from the county or a municipality, you can buy it for 10 or 20 or 30 cents on the dollar at a tax defaulted auction. How many of those would you want to buy? You'd want to buy a lot of them. All right. Now, if you have evaluated those properties that you're purchasing, and there's a large margin between the starting selling price and the actual selling price, then you have a lot of margin to work with. So if you could buy it low and you could sell it low, not as much as the tax assessed value, all of that margin you get to keep. So tax certificates and tax defaulted property purchasing has been going on for well over 200 years. So let's see if we can learn how to do this in a risk-free way. So if you could buy real estate for 10 cents on the dollar and then resell it for 50 or 60 cents on the dollar with no mortgage or no deed or trust loan, how many of those would you want to buy? You'd want to buy a lot of them. Well, this is taking place in 5,000 auctions nationwide every single year. Now, if you know how to get rid of those properties and sell them, that would help a lot. So how do you go about selling them? Well, you could use eBay, you could use Craigslist, you could use Zillow, you could use the multiple listing, you could use Trulia, you're getting the idea. You could put signs in the ground. You could use Facebook Marketplace. The point is you could do all that sitting on your rusty dusty at a computer because you could do it online. You could buy online and you could sell online, and you could do that all from where you're sitting right now or even your kitchen table. All 3,000 counties will sell tax defaulted real estate, and the low bidding starts at 10, 20 cents on the dollar because the tax assessor, they establish their value, but the treasurer has a different value. The treasurer just wants to get rid of the property. Why? Because they need the money to pay the county bills. So the starting price on these properties is usually very close to just the back taxes. All right, now will they sell at the back taxes? No. People will go to those auctions. If they see value, they'll bid the price up. So every property is not sold for 10 cents on the dollar. But the point is, there's thousands of these properties nationwide. Actually, there's going to be millions of these properties nationwide. Now, the tax collector and the treasurer, what they're doing is they're auctioning property so that they can pay the county bills. So they're going to start the bidding price at very low to attract bidders to these auctions. All right, don't buy the junk. Many of these properties are junk. Most of the properties just need clean up and touch up, but some of the properties are junk, so don't buy those properties. Today's episode is all about answering the question, how to create wealth. Well, you create wealth by buying low, selling low, and doing it fast, and that's what we talk about at Tax Defaulted Auction. All right, now I've tested all of these strategies and techniques, and I've sifted through dozens of auctions and auction properties. And I'm telling you, I've figured out what works best. And what works best is to buy it low, sell it low, and do it as quickly as possible to achieve some pretty darn big paydays. All right, now this is not theory. It's not forecasting. It's what's working best in the marketplace today to make high income. How do we make high income? We go to Tax Defaulted Auction. We buy as close as we can to the defaulted tax price, and then we sell it at a price lower than the actual tax assessed value. How do we do that? Well, we do it by doing it quickly, and we do it by knowing how to market the property. All right, so don't quit your job. This is just a side hustle. You can do enough, you can make enough money on one tax defaulted property to make your car payments, your house payments, and even have money left over to go on a Hawaiian trip. This business has been available for over 200 years. The system works because it's been tested, it's been perfected in the trenches, and this is where real deals are made and where money has been on the line. So this will work for you. You just have to learn how to do it. Now, the right guidance, one person can build a home-based business where you can have the lifestyle that you want by just doing multiple properties each year. These properties are sold in over 3,000 tax defaulted counties across the United States. Now, I'm going to prove that you don't need a lot of money to get in this business. You can start with very low amount of money. And I'll give you some examples of that in just a minute. Here's what happened to a married couple from Wisconsin. When they finished the training, they started out because they needed more income, so they wanted to buy tax defaulted property. So I taught them how to buy at the first auction. They purchased a property for less than 20 cents on the dollar. Now, throughout these videos, I'm going to show you some pretty darn interesting examples so that you can get the idea of how we help others do this. So this Wisconsin couple, they bought shortly after they graduated, and they purchased a property in Michigan. Now, the property had a tax assessed value of $55,000. So this couple, these are seniors, and they paid only $8,000. They were the high bidder on the property. So that was less than 20 cents on the dollar. The mortgage was already deleted. There was no mortgage on the property. All right, that means they can sell it at any price they want. The tax assessed value on this property was whatever it was, $55,000, but they didn't pay anywhere near that. They only paid less than 20 cents on the dollar. So what did they do? They followed the system of buy it low. Now they're going to sell it low. How are they going to sell it? They're going to put it out in the marketplace by putting signs on the property. Then they're going to put it on Facebook Marketplace. They're going to use Zillow. They're going to use Trulia. They're going to use a multiple listing service. They're going to do whatever they can to sell the property. So they aggressively marketed the property. While they're aggressively marketing, they cleaned the property up. Now, they didn't rehabilitate the property. They did some minor fix-up. They cleaned it up. That cost them another $4,000. So let's do the math. They had $8,000 investment, another $4,000 in fix-up, so they're in the property $12,000. Now, as I said, they were aggressive marketers. That's very important. So they sold the property on using Facebook Marketplace, and that's where they found a buyer. Now, their selling price was $35,000. You recall it was tax assessed at $55,000. They sold it at $35,000, and they had $12,000 that they had invested in their own money. So they made themselves a $23,000 profit, generating a $23,000 profit on only a $12,000 investment. Now, that's just a teeny tiny glimpse of what happens in this business on a regular basis. Some of the profits are just spectacular. So you're getting the idea. So in future episodes, I'll show you more of those same kind of examples where you can make the same kind of money. Understanding marketing is very important. Possibly the biggest mistake that entrepreneurs make is they don't understand marketing. So this simple blunder is the difference between making big money and making no money at all. So you must know who the buyer is, who you're going to try to sell it to. Most sellers fail to be aggressive marketers, so guess what? they sit on the property for a long time and they don't make money. So here's a solution. All right, to succeed in this business, what you need to do is you need to spend your money on marketing and media. You want to think about eBay. You want to think about multiple listing service. You want to think about advertising on Zillow, advertising on Trulia. Think about using Craigslist, or in this case, they use Facebook Marketplace. They used all the electronic sites they could find, and they did signs on the property and in the neighborhood. So you're getting the idea. They were aggressive marketers. So this is a selling process that works in the marketplace today, and they sold quickly, made themselves $23,000. Folks, if you get this right, you'll have smooth sailing. If you get it wrong, you'll never get off the ground, that's for sure. You see those little white circles? That's how many auctions are taking place within that state in the next 90 days. This calendar updates every single day. I'm here today to show you how to make money. To do that, I'm going to show you briefly that there are thousands of tax defaulted real estate properties across the 3,000 plus counties in the United States. This is quite interesting. You're looking at the Ted Thomas Magic Interactive Map and Auction Calendar. It changes every day. Now, I created the calendar and the map so I would know how many auctions are taking place every day in the United States. Now I can show the little guy how to make money. Most importantly, I created this system so I could have an auction list for each auction 24/7. Folks, the counties that have small population, they're going to have hundreds of these properties for sale. The counties with large population are going to have hundreds, even thousands of these properties. I've been in large counties where they had thousands of properties to sell, and they're selling these properties at just the back taxes starting bid. All right, 2 mistakes you need to avoid. Mistake number 1, be sure that you look at the property, have boots on the ground before you purchase a property. Before you invest, be sure you've looked at the property. Something could have happened. There could have been a windstorm. There could have been a flood. There could have been a hurricane. Could have been a fire. You want to make sure none of that's happened. So you buy the property and you know you got a good property. You also need to know what your strategy for selling is. In other words, what's your exit strategy? Don't buy a property unless you know what your exit strategy is, because you'll pay too much money for it. So you need to make sure you've looked at the property, have a good exit strategy, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget, request your free auction list right below me.